This episode of Redcliff Railway Tales is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Lol, no, not really, that game sucks. Even more so than Fortnite. Train Lava 16! The train, for its size, is the fastest vehicle on land. And the locomotives of Redcliff Loco Yard are the power behind the stations, industries and train lines that make up the well-renowned Redcliff and Guinea Bridge Railway. This is Redcliff Railway Tales. When we last visited the Redcliff and Guinea Bridge Railway, Ethen had been to Crewe works after falling ill, but they had left his handbrake rather stiff, and as a consequence to this, he became a runaway. Luckily, thanks to the brave efforts of his conductor, Peter, Henry the helicopter and a railway inspector, he was able to stop. But he now had to go back to Crewe works to have his brake problems fixed, and as the passenger traffic on the line was unusually high at the time, this would unfortunately mean that the railway would have to see the return of a certain white Scottish steam engine everyone thought they'd never see again. But as already explained, it had to be done. On the morning when Ethen had left for Crewe again, Mr. Eric came to the loco yard to break this unfortunate news to his engines. Hello everyone, I've got something very important to tell you all, and I don't think any of you are going to like it. Due to Ethen's absence at present and the high amount of passenger traffic our railway is facing at the moment, I've had to hire a spare engine. Uh-oh, it's not who I think it is it? Sir Callum, if you are referring to Jack, then I'm afraid you are correct. I've had no choice but to bring him back to this railway. I tried asking other railways, but all of them said, no, sorry, we have no engines going spare at the moment. For some reason though, Jack's railway was the only one that could spare an engine, and that engine just happened to be Jack, so I have agreed with his controller a 3-week-long loan period for him. What? We're all going to have to put up with Jack's horrid and disgraceful behaviour for 3 whole weeks? Jeez, where's Christopher when you need him? I tried asking Christopher's Preservation Society as well, but not even them can spare him at the moment. So I guess Jack it shall have to be then. I'm afraid so, but you never know, his attitude might have changed since his last visit. Hopefully yes, but if I were you, I wouldn't be certain. Try not to let those thoughts about Jack plague your mind. It's time for work now, perhaps that will take your mind off him. Yes sir, see you later. You too, Sir Callum. Around lunchtime that day, Sir Callum was having a break, but then he heard a whistle that he hadn't heard in 18 months. Oh no, it's him. It unquestionably was. Jack slowly backed down into the siding next to Sir Callum.
Guess who's back, losers?
Hello, Jack. It's comforting to know that some things haven't changed.
What's that supposed to mean? And remind me, who are you again?
It's Sir Callum, and that's supposed to mean your attitude hasn't changed.
Well, why won't of it, lad?
I dunno. I just thought maybe you wouldn't be such a mean little jackass anymore. And while we're on the subject, when you were last here, I never thought to ask you why you always act like this. So I'll ask you now, why are you such an unlikable arse?
I have my reasons alright, now leave me alone.
Wow, it seems like he's gone insane since he was last here.
I agree. Ah, good afternoon, Virgil. And you too, Sir Callum. Virgil was Mr. Eric's 10-year-old son. He was the youngest person who worked on the railway and would volunteer after school every Monday, Wednesday and Thursday, as well as on occasional weekends. He, like his dad, had been a train enthusiast from a very young age, and volunteering gave him something to look forward to after school. The next day, he was busy polishing Sir Callum. Sir Callum was happily dozing in the sun, but Virgil wanted to talk. Wake up, lazy wheels! Aren't you ashamed of how filthy you are? No, not really. You're always very pernickety when cleaning us.
And Sir Callum closed his eyes again. He was thinking about all the good times he and Ethen had shared together, and was wishing Ethen would come back soon.
Don't you want to look nice for when you take the Mayor of Redcliff to Guineabridge? Sir Callum wasn't sleepy anymore. What? When? This afternoon. Dad told me to tell you. I think the Mayor's going to see a play with the Mayor of Guineabridge. Anyway, I've got to go now. I'll see you later, Sir Callum. Virgil, wait, come back. Have you cleaned me thoroughly enough? Please do it again so I can be sure you haven't missed any spots. Now who's being pernickety? Virgil laughed and gave Sir Callum another quick polish. Just as he was finishing, Jack pulled up with a freight train.
Aren't you going to polish me too?
Sorry, I can't right now. I've got to get Sir Callum's coaches ready for when he takes the Mayor and his associates to Guineabridge Junction. Never mind, Jack. I'll give you a good thorough polish this evening. But Jack did mind.
It isn't fair. Ethen and Sir Callum get boiler tubes, Vites gets his own non-stop express service, the Mayor gets his own private train, but I'm not even allowed to get polished. And I have to pull stupid Smithy freight trains as well.
Of course, the part about not getting polished wasn't true, but Jack liked complaining. He went on sulking for the rest of the morning. That afternoon, bad news came through. Jack, one of Jacob's coaches has come off the rails near Edendale. We need to take the works train to re-rail it right away.
Ugh, do I have to? The railway's overworking me, I'm exhausted.
No, you're not. You're just being lazy. Now come on. The derailed coach was towards the back of Jacob's train, so he's gone on to Guineabridge Junction with the front coaches.
The derailment had also caused partial damage to the track. A new piece was being brought up on Jack's train.
When Jack arrived, the workmen immediately got to work trying to re-rail the coach. It took some time, but Jack grew more and more impatient the longer it took. At last, the coach was back on the rails. After rearranging the train, he continued up to Guineabridge Junction with the passengers in the rear coaches. He sulked all the way there.
I get no rest. I'm telling you, I literally don't get any rest. It's ridiculous.
The journey was very difficult. Jack's steam pressure was low, so the fireman decided to stop the train and wait a few minutes to try and raise it. But Jack wasn't having it. We've got to get going, Jack. We're keeping the passengers waiting.
You always think about the passengers and freight and never about my working environment and my well-being.
Soon, Jack's steam pressure was back up, and they set off again. But nothing was snapping Jack out of his bad mood.
Why should I have to tolerate being overworked and underappreciated?
But it wasn't long before they began to climb the Bexgate flyover. Jack's wheels and pistons were aching and he was short of breath, or at least he thought he was. Come on, Jack. Get up this hill, then you can coast down the other side and have a rest and a drink at Guineabridge Junction. Then Jack was ruder than ever.
Keep your own junction, I'm staying here.
And he bloomin' well did all right. The fireman and the conductor tried everything to get him off the viaduct, but nothing worked. At last, Sir Callum came along with the mayor's private train. The conductor waved his red baton and stopped him.
Am I pleased to see you two? Jack's refusing to move. Do you think you could give him a push off the viaduct, please? Well, it might be too heavy for Sir Callum, but there's no harm in actually trying. Take the hint, Jack!
I canna hear you, lad.
Sir Callum coupled up to the back of Jack's train. Then he pushed and puffed and puffed and pushed as hard as he could. His wheels slipped fiercely, until at last the train began to move. He safely brought it down the other side of the flyover, doing all the hard work himself. Jack grumbled all the way to the end of the line, but Sir Callum paid no attention. Finally, they reached Guinea Bridge Junction. The mayor, who'd known everything about it, was very impressed with Sir Callum's efforts.
Fantastic work, Sir Callum. You're clearly a credit to your railway.
Thank you, your worship. It's a massive shame not all of us are. Despite the mayor's praise, Jack's passengers were furious with the delays they'd had to suffer that day. They told all the staff at the station what a bad railway it was. That night, Mr. Eric spoke severely to Jack. You listen to me, Jack. You're not going to get polished if you refuse to do your work.
I get too much work. I'd rather not be polished if it didn't mean I have to work.
Well, Jack, if that's how you feel, then you can stay here in the loco yard all day tomorrow.
Gladly, Mr. Eric. I need a nice long break.
Jack clearly still needed sense knocked into him, and thankfully he'd be getting that very soon, but that's a story for another day.